Goddamn, what? What they got in common? They all like slicing up people with machetes. Here it is, beautiful. All right, you gotta at least try a sip. Don't be sorry.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Gibbons. Miami. You're the guy who pulled a wild bill on that guy at the domino. See, cable knows.
Senator, do you have any information that may be of interest to the United States Marshal Service?
Isaac Tiny Winfield, 14 arrests since 01. Felony assault, menacing, making terroristic threats, convicted twice. Last time was in Tennessee, did 3 years in River Bend. Attempted murder, pled down to aggravated assault. November last year, gets busted in Memphis for stomping a nightclub owner, escapes Memphis PD custody, been in the wind since, wanted on various charges, including federal parole violation.
Where did he escape from?
Back of a squad car. Pulled his shackles apart, kicked in the barrier, and put 2 officers in ICU.
Pulled his shackles apart.
That's what it says.
I get the feeling Tiny is meant to be ironic. Oh my God. What did it say? You big enough? Shit.
Textbook shakedown psycho. We figured he's muscling Penner, so Penner dimes him to us.
It'd be nice and linear.
20G reward ain't bad either.
And this woman that Penner gave you,
This makes sense.
Charisse. Nothing in the file about that.
How long did you sit on it?
Tiny moves around a lot. Sooner or later.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Sharice.
Welcome to everyone in the room for our June PMI Montgomery County chapter member dinner. This will be our last of the first half of the program here.
Search warrant, open the door, we'll break it down.
We'll be on in-person breaks for June and for July and August. And back here in September,
Mama, see
we are working within our programs team on some virtual content so you can still earn your PDUs.
We'll need all that.
Welcome to all our community on Zoom.
Oh, that's just wrong.
Okay. Our Education Day, which was an annual tradition pre-pandemic, we're targeting for our July, August break. This will be an all-day event and 7 PDUs free to all valid chapter members. And we'll continue to have that virtual simulcast option, which is more convenient. And date, location, speaker agenda will be coming soon.
No, man.
For those who do need PDUs, the start of the pandemic, so I think April of 2020, 95% of our chapter events are uploaded to our chapter YouTube channel. So if you need some background noise while you're on call, this is a great opportunity. For the majority of all our posted videos, there's the claim code in the video description that you can claim. If you run into any dates that have a retired date, let us know and we can fix them.
No, man,
as mentioned in previous meetings, soon to be bestseller is the engagement matrix, educational partner, friends of our chapter from Leadership Techniques. Miss Lisa Hammer and Mr. David Newman authored this book last year, and more of a reference guide on decisions that can be made to further engage in your projects, regardless of where you are on the project totem pole. And that's a low cost of $19.99 on Amazon for a paperback at your door tomorrow. And for anyone who's an Amazon Kindle Unlimited subscriber, which means you have access to a selection of everything Kindle, and you can carry, I think, 10 at a time. It's also on there. So great read and one that we highly recommend. Training alert. Our PMI Global has offered the virtual experience series at a free cost for all valid members. So their June installment
Nah, man, I'm
next
off
week.
sugar.
That's
It's good shit.
No shame the way you've been like.
close to a full day. And 7 PDUs are available to be earned. Ms. Jennifer Brown, who wrote the recent book, How to Be an Inclusive Leader, is one of the keynotes.
When you go sick, the boss is
And
on.
you'll have on-demand access for at least a few months for the so did you register, even if you may not
Turns
be
out,
available
He's the guy
on
watching that
Facebook.
gun stung in Miami. Actually, that time he had the hat on.
Our
Was that the news?
Toastmasters group, which
Yeah, I don't
is
watch the news too much lately. I'm busy trying to make this paper, you know what I'm talking about?
Are you still trying to get the scratch together for that
Okay.
cover?
1 second.
Landscape.
Right.
You think about that offer I made to you about being a ground floor investor?
Sorry, but I do have a way for you to make the paper. The guy's name is Travis Travers.
What that is? He a porn star or something?
No, he's a scumbag playboy who doesn't honor his marketers.
That's his real name?
As far as I know,
How deep is the end?
15, 16.5 at the big. Turns out this guy's been calling in bets under 3 different names.
Okay, for our virtual attendees, did that fix the problem?
Yes.
Yes. Thanks, Matt. It's good.
Okay, we're good. So apologies for that. So our sister Toastmasters group, which is the only out of the DC region, only Toastmasters group that's associated with PMI, meets the second and fourth Wednesday of each month. They're still meeting virtually. There may be plans for some face-to-face engagement, but if you look at speaking with confidence and public speaking as something that there's room for growth, even the most world-renowned TED Talk speakers say that they can always improve their public speaking, but a great opportunity during the summer to maybe either join Toastmasters for the first time and each meeting is a different speech, or if you've been Toastmasters before in your professional journey, no better time to come back with it. So that information is on our website and will be in our newsletters as well. Okay, our sister chapters are doing good things. We take a Miracle on 34th Street approach that we can't offer you entertainment every week, so we'll point you to where you can get education and enlightenment. So next Tuesday, PMI WDC is offering an event at the Northeastern University campus in Arlington. Friend of our chapter and CEO of Project Management Experts, Mr. Joe Liani, will be presenting on Discipline Agile. And their Vice President of Programs, Mr. Russell Sanders, will be on Enhancements and Innovation. $35 for members, $45 for non-members, and there's a buffet dinner and a drink ticket, and that's 2 PDs. So a great opportunity. Next Wednesday, there's 2 events, a virtual event for PMI Silver Spring. $10 covers their virtual collaboration costs, and that's on lean portfolio management with Mr. Roy Brewer. And also next Wednesday, PMI Baltimore has a networking social at one of the breweries in Baltimore for branding yourself as a PM, given by Miss Tracy Chiles McGee. So great opportunities next week to continue your PMI enlightenment. Our education partners are still doing amazing things in person and without. Mr. Liani from Project Management Experts, who's talking for PMI WDC, has a full catalog. Our friends with Leadership Techniques and Carl Pritchard are doing great things. Montgomery College has a PM certification programs as well as professional development for leadership courses, and they do great work and have been a great partner for us. So a lot of great opportunities over the summer break. even though we're pretty much still working. If your company has a training and education allowance, these are great options to look at. And our Spotlight Education event is Leadership Techniques second annual fall conference on the beaches of Delaware. This will be October 5th and 6th, and the package includes 9 PDUs, opening, cocktail reception, and then the next day for the content, continental breakfast and lunch. Ms. Trayvon, who is our VP of Communication, has attended one of their conferences in the past and had rave reviews. So. And we're very pleased and honored to have Ms. Marguerite Rodden on our Montgomery County stage. She's a certified life coach through IPEC, which is the Institute of Professional Excellence in Coaching. Over the last 10 to 15 years, there's been a lot of ways to obtain a coaching certification and a CPC or a PPC. IPEC was one of the first and has continued to further develop their curriculum. So my personal opinion is that's the gold standard. Ms. Rodden's a longtime member of our chapter and a former 2-term chapter VP of membership. She's much better than the current VP of membership, which is me. Over the past year, she's become the principal owner of Life Forward LLC, a premier boutique coaching firm. And prior to that, she cemented a proven career in healthcare management. So we welcome Ms. Rodden back to our Montgomery County family and look forward to a great night of enlightenment.
Well, thanks, Matt, for that introduction. I was like, wow, thank you. So what you might not know about me is that I've reinvented my career over the years. And my most recent corporate job was that of an internal account manager with heavy emphasis on mentorship for leaders and managers. And as I reevaluated what I wanted out of my life and career, I realized that I wanted to start my own business. And I wanted to focus on working directly with clients. So having had an undergraduate degree in social work and a master's degree in business, I discovered coaching. And it seemed to be a natural fit for me on all levels, spiritually, emotionally, and intellectually. So I am a certified life coach. Also I have designations in core dynamics, in leadership, performance, and transitions. And I'm an ELI master professional. I support individuals and groups with their goals for greater life satisfaction. Also, I have to say, I really love what I do now more than ever. So since 2016, this chapter and the network has been a huge support for me as my career transition. On the first day, when I came to Montgomery County chapter of PMI, I was greeted by Lisa Hammer, who was wonderful and introduced me to folks, and Matt. So it's just a great group of professionals that support one another. And I'm really grateful today to pay it forward by discussing energy leadership and to share some powerful concepts and tools that you may choose to incorporate in your management style, in your life, and in your career. Okay, so great, we've got the slide up that we needed. Today we'll be spending some time discussing energy leadership and how to increase your leadership potential in a more systematic way. So we all know that management is a science and an art, and so is leadership. Understanding and being aware of your energy is the first step towards making choices that will help you to show up at your best so that you can lead and perform at your fullest potential and inspire others to do the same. So we'll explore concepts developed by Bruce D. Schneider, PhD. He's the CEO of IPEC. He's also an innovator in the field of professional coaching. And he is a motivational speaker, and he's provided some of these great concepts, such as the energetic self-perception chart, which we'll go into detail a bit later on. So today, the areas that we'll touch on is why is leadership and project management important, and why is it important to you? The definition of energy, looking at anabolic and catabolic energy. Again, we'll go over that energetic self-perception chart. what affects energy, and then we'll talk about self-awareness and a mastery mindset and your own success formula for energy leadership. Next slide. So, what makes a great leader? The dictionary defines leadership as the act of leading a group or an organization. Okay, sounds like what a manager does, sounds like what a project manager does. So why is it important for project managers? And why do we care? The main reason is that we get our work done through others and with our teams. And you probably have heard this before at many of your management functions that you go to and the educational seminars that you go to. Do we know what the number one reason is why people leave their jobs?
Money.
That's exactly it. SHRM and Leadership First, all the studies say they leave because of the boss. They may not say it. They may say we're leaving for other reasons, but about 70% of people leave their jobs because of management in one form or another, be it a toxic workplace environment or just the manager themselves. So, and we go to these seminars to learn how to be great managers and leaders. So that being said, and from these seminars that you've been to, what makes a great leader? Why don't you toss out some ideas? Good listeners, yes.
Clear vision.
Clear vision. Empathy. Empowering their staff. Yeah, exactly, right? Yes, great leaders want to see their teams excel and grow. Yes, those are all wonderful attributes. And we can see that we've heard slightly different variations from folks too. Like what resonates with you is it's a bit subjective, right? It's sort of our personal vision and picture. It validates that picture of what a great leader should be. And that's based on our life experiences and our filters. So in order for us to be that great leader that we envision, we need to have self-awareness and make conscious choices. And this is all driven by energy. Your energy determines how you show up to life, as well as the results you get and how well you are able to inspire others. Next slide. We'll talk about core energy. This concept of core energy does come from Dr. Schneider. He calls it also the 7th level framework for mastery of energy leadership. So core energy is the energy at the core thoughts and emotions and actions that relate to how people see themselves and others. Core energy includes whatever a person brings to a task or situation. This is influenced by internal and external factors. So you can think of core energy as the total energy available to you in any moment. It's the core that drives performance. Next slide. Again, we said that core energy is where energy is focused at any given time. And there's 2 types of energy. So we'll start with catabolic energy. Catabolic energy is a destructive, tearing down force, and it's often associated with stress. So when someone perceives a situation as being stressful, the brain creates catabolic hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. The purpose of those hormones is to break down the body's tissues and provide energy to push through the stress. While people can work well under stress, and many people do say that they do, and they experience short-term successes too, the long-term impact can be draining, and it can impact levels of fulfillment and satisfaction. So when people experience stress, it's difficult to look past the stressor and see the bigger picture of the situation and the choices that can be available to them. When the brain is not under stress, so that was catabolic energy. So anabolic energy is it's a constructive building up force, and it's associated with less stress. So when the brain is not under stress, it tells the body to release anabolic hormones that are designed to optimize body systems. As a result, it's easier to focus on solutions, tap into your creativity, and experience a more complete conscious level or conscious view of situations. Also, the less judgment and fear that people have about themselves and situations, the more anabolic energy they can access. So I'd like to do an experiment illustrating catabolic and anabolic energy. So could I have a volunteer? Come on up. And the rest of you don't think you're getting off because you aren't. You get to participate in this exercise too. But I'm going to have you, I'm going to have you tell me, we're going to have you just share an experience. Well, really, if you would share something that you're passionate about with the group for a couple minutes.
Passionate about.
Something that excites you.
I'm passionate about design. And that's usually, sure. Let me tell you what I mean by that. I don't mean like interior design. In general, I'm talking about like web experiences. So that's sort of the process that goes into making those. Sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Gets my juices flowing, inspires me to get out of bed and go to work. So yes, so solving like user issues through design. Yeah, I mean, I also like swimming too. I like walks and podcasts and yes, books and so yeah. Okay. And sneakers. I like sneakers too. So, but in this context, we're gonna go with the design.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keeping it professional.
Yeah, keeping it professional.
Right. Okay, now, all right, everybody, that was fun, right? So now, I want you to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And well, actually, I'll hold the mic because you're gonna need to do something.
Okay. Oh boy.
Okay. So we're gonna hear the same story or a similar story, or I want you to tell us what you're passionate about. And I want you this time, while you're doing that, to take your two fingers and poke them in your ribs, kind of hard.
Correct. Hard,
okay,
yeah.
kind of hard.
Yeah.
And then I want you to tell your story. You can stop for a second. I would like the rest of you to do the same. So everybody, I know we just ate dinner, but but let's push our fingers in our ribs and you do the same. And you start. I'll hold this for you. You can tell us about what you're passionate about. Same story.
Oh, so yeah, so I'm passionate about solving user problems through design and more and I feel like I'm missing a little context.
It's okay. Okay. And you can stop. We're good. We can stop. Okay. So the point of the exercise, you did not, you did it perfectly. Okay. So what was different when from your first story to the second one where you were pushing your fingers in your ribs?
Well, my fingers were jammed in my rib cage, and it was more difficult, I would say, to channel the enthusiasm and passion I feel for design.
Did everybody hear that? Because I didn't give him the microphone. He said it was difficult to channel the passion that he felt before because his fingers were in his ribs.
I'd say there's burden. I think I know where this is going. There's a burden to having your fingers jammed in your rib cage, that like sensitive flesh right there. Right. It makes you. It saps your strength.
It does.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Absolutely. Did anybody else had a thought when you're pushing the fingers in your ribs other than she's making me do this?
You're concentrating on doing that instead of something else.
It's distracting. Right. That's what catabolic energy is. Exactly. It distracts. Absolutely. I want it to be over. Right. It hurts, Yes, sorry. That was kind of a mean thing to do after eating dinner. Thank you. You appreciate that. We appreciated our volunteer. Yes. So catabolic energy is just like the fingers in your ribs. It distracts you and pulls you away from what you're trying to accomplish and towards what's painful and stressful. So you did a great job. So now I don't want you to think that that catabolic energy is negative, because it really isn't. Each type of energy serves a purpose. So neither type of energy is positive or negative or good or bad. They serve important purposes at different times. And we'll get into that a little bit more as we go into more of the energy theory. But the key is to know if you're experiencing that energy by choice, or if it's something that you're used to doing. And we'll get a little bit more into that. So next slide. Taking a deeper dive, let's look into the two types of energy in a more concrete and powerful way. And that is using the energetic self-perception chart that was developed by Dr. Schneider. The reason why it's powerful is because it takes something as intangible, such as perception, and makes it a bit more concrete. The way we see the world is based on our perceptions and level of consciousness. So this model, and we're project managers, we all like models, right? This model describes 7 levels of energy. Level 1 is at the center. You see where you see self, and then level 1 is that the first ring. So level 1 is at the center, and level 7 is at the top. Well, levels 1 and 2 are catabolic energy, and they're associated with high levels of stress, judgment, fear. And levels 3 through 7 are anabolic energies levels. So the less stress you bring to a situation, the higher you are on the scale. You can think of it as a continuum, where 1 is the lowest level of consciousness and 7 is the highest level of consciousness. And you'll also note that there are 3 columns. You see core thought, core emotion, and action and result. So every emotion and thought that you experience can be associated with each one of these levels. And as you can see, the behaviors are connected to the emotions and thoughts. You can kind of think of it like the constraints, the triangle, right? The iron triangle, right? Cost and time and right. So it seems like everything is in these triangles, and you have to keep them balanced. So we'll get a little bit more into that, but it reminded me of that. So every emotion and thought you experience, it can be associated with one of these levels, and the connection and behaviors are connected to the emotions and thoughts. So for example, if you're looking through a level 2 lens, or level 2 energy level, your thoughts and emotions are based on the perception that conflict exists, which could lead to an argument, resistance, or getting things done by force, all of which are characteristics of level 2 energy. All 7 levels of energy are present in everyone in different combinations. So everyone has a mix of those different energies, and the different levels show up in different situations as well. So by understanding this energetic self-perception chart and the 7 levels of energy, you can become aware of how the different energies show up in yourself and in others. And then with that self-awareness and the new learning that you have, you can learn to master shifting your energy by choice to serve you best in any situation. And this is why it's such a powerful tool for leadership and for life. So next slide. So we'll go through the energy levels. I'm going to go through them briefly. And I'd like to really look at my notes so I can make sure that I get the description, give you the proper descriptions here. So level 1 is the lowest level of energy, and it is catabolic. It's often described as a victim perspective because the perception is that the situation is outside of the individual's circle of influence or control. This also creates self-criticism or doubt in their own abilities. And people experiencing level 1 tend to feel fear, worry, overwhelm, doubt, and any emotion that's associated with powerlessness. As a result of seeing situations being done to them, the tendency is to withdraw, avoid, or disengage, and they often report feeling stuck. So at this level, if someone makes a decision and an outcome isn't what they expect, the tendency is to feel guilt or embarrassment and to replay events in their mind over and over again, wishing that they had acted differently. They may blame themselves for anything negative that happens. At level 1, there's a lot of heavy self-judgment present. So again, it's not a negative or a bad energy, it serves a purpose. It could protect us from experiencing uncomfortable situations or assuming responsibility for negative events. can also draw sympathy from and support from others. But level 1 energy, if you stay there for a long period of time, it can impact your levels of satisfaction, fulfillment, and prevent people from engaging in life. So next slide, level 2. This is also a catabolic energy that's characterized by conflict, as we discussed a couple minutes ago. From a level 2 perspective, everything tends to be viewed as black or white, right or wrong, or good or bad. Level 2 people come from a win-lose frame of reference and often feel anger, resentment, entitlement, frustration, or any other conflict-related emotion. That they work well under stress. While people can accomplish much by force at a cost because motivation is forced, the results from level 2 aren't sustainable and can eventually impair motivation levels and satisfaction and productivity of others. So the use of fear, intimidation, coercion are short-term strategies, but they have long-term impacts. And at my table this evening, we were even discussing that a bit. We've had some situations where we've worked and, when you're talking about those bosses, right, the number one reason that people leave is because of their boss or supervisor or team leader. When you're forcing motivation like this, it'll work for a while, but it won't work forever. And people want to leave.
So is an example like in a workplace, like you got promoted over me, like I'm not going to support you, or would that fall under a different level?
Yeah, that's a good example too. Promotions, sometimes that's also level 1, because you can feel like you're a victim in that situation too. But it just depends on where the emotion lies. Is it powerlessness or is it anger and frustration, which is more a characteristic of 2? Okay, yeah. Level 3, next slide. It's an interesting level because it's a mix of both anabolic and catabolic energies. This level is really more anabolic, which is why it's the gateway or entry point to the anabolic energy levels. The focus in level 3 is on winning and achieving the desired results. When something happens that's perceived as negative or stressful, a level 3 perspective allows people to release their negativity and keep focused on the desired outcome. Sounds pretty good. A lot of managers do that, right? So at this level, people take responsibility for their thoughts, feelings, and actions. They can often motivate themselves and others by finding ways to cope, release, forgive, tolerate, compromise, and explain away resentment, stress, disappointments, and other burdens in order to encourage cooperation and productivity. So people who experience level 3 tend to make the best of a situation. They focus on the positive. They find the silver lining. Sorry. So if there's negativity present, this energy level allows people to massage and manipulate it in order to manage the situation, to minimize negative impacts, and to keep things moving forward. Since level 3 allows people to move past negativity in a moment, it doesn't address. Sometimes there's level 1 and 2 energies that are underneath the surface. And as a result, there could be a tendency to settle for good enough. And in the pursuit of finding solutions and moving forward, those underlying issues may go unaddressed. Next slide. So level 4 is moderately anabolic, and its core thought is concern for others. It's the level of caring, supporting, and helping. Level 4 looks like and feels selfless, since the focus of these actions is on others winning and succeeding. People experiencing level 4 energy tend to be great problem solvers. The emotions associated with level 4 are compassion, gratitude, caring, trust, and conditional love. As a result, people with level 4 perspective tend to come from a heart space and make deep connections. When decisions are to be made, they consider the implication on others before taking action. They're more able to see things objectively. And when there's a problem, the tendency may be to jump in and fix it. And as a result, people come to them for help and advice. In level 4, energy, these people really do feel and care about helping and serving others. And as a result, it feels great to be a support and to make a difference. So,
And this would be more like servant leadership? Or?
A lot like servant leadership, yes, yes. So here's where sometimes level 4 folks can get a little stuck. Without establishing healthy boundaries, the tendency of level 4 is to place everybody's needs ahead of your own. Moms are a good example of this. You know, you're doing everything for the family. You're also holding down your job. Well, dads are too. I'm sorry, I finished that. Parents are a great example of this. You're putting everybody's needs ahead of your own. And sometimes you get pulled into other people's dramas. Now, this can result in taking on too much and dropping your level energies into catabolic energies. Because you may feel overwhelmed, which is level 1, or you may feel frustrated if things are out of balance. So again, just sort of watching that and being aware of if it's happening to you is important, so that you don't ruin your moment of being that caring and loving person that you want to be. Okay, next slide, level 5. It's moderate to high anabolic energy level, and it's found in the greatest leaders in all walks of life. When you experience level 5 energy, you no longer perceive situations as good or bad or right or wrong. And as a result, there's a sense of peace and confidence, because every situation or outcome is viewed as an opportunity to learn something that can help you to adjust your course and move forward. Individuals at this energy level are powerful, inspiring, and skilled at capitalizing on whatever opportunities present themselves. People who use level 5 lens see others as gifted and full of potential. Every situation provides additional information that can guide next steps and decisions. Similar to a growth mindset, level 5 allows people to explore the purpose behind everything that happens. And rather than focusing on just fixing the problem, the level 5 focus is more on a solution focus. At level 5, people are able to generate ideas and see opportunities and purposes in every situation. Since the focus is on learning from the situation, they don't take things personally. So one disadvantage that happens to level 5 people is that they can see so many opportunities that they may overthink things and experience a paralysis of analysis. Great. And level 6 is high anabolic energy. When someone accesses their level 6 lens, they approach situations with openness. As a result, there's a strong connection to everyone and everything, as they see everyone else as part of themselves. The core thought is synthesis, as the perception is one where everyone's gifts and talents come together as a unified whole. The core emotion is joy, and the action is wisdom. Since judgment is no longer present, the concept of separation melts away at this level. Creative geniuses and visionaries and brilliant conscious leaders in all walks of life tap into this level of energy and use it to access their intuition and use it to create new and exciting innovations that benefit everyone. Often people experience this level 6 energy as being in the flow. And there's there's a lot of examples in sports, for example. I can use one. A downhill skier is going down, just having the perfect run down the slope. So body, mind, everything is moving. It's also in unison with the mountain, and you just feel this whole connection. So everything sort of comes into place, and there's a real sense of joy that comes out of that. But you also see that in working in I assume that you've probably seen some experience of that where your project just like clicks and everything's clicking and it's all going in the flow. Has anybody experienced that? Okay. Remember, we all experience some of these levels at one time or another. So leaders operating at level 6 tend to lead more by presence than by actions, and they share in projects rather than delegating them. The view through this perspective is that everyone wins because we're all part of the bigger picture. And at level 6, people tend to focus on experiencing the moment instead of trying to make sense of it. And they also tend to view life's events as part of a grander scheme of things. So level 6, you tap into your intuition, empathy, and you have ability to feel and connect without judgment. And as a result, there is a sense of joy and satisfaction. So the only disadvantage to level 6 is that that leader could appear to not be as grounded or maybe perhaps out of touch. And they might be high risk takers and act on impulse without balancing their intuition and logic and emotion. So there's level 6, and moving on to level 7, which is the highest level of energy. This is the level of creation, and it's characterized by complete and objective thinking, non-judgment, fearlessness, and unconditional love. So no human resonates here completely, but with practice, everyone can learn to access it. At this level, you can use all the other levels at will, experiencing what you choose to. And people who tap into this energy level really are very powerful. They're connected to a higher intelligence of the highest order. They can consciously co-create their life experience and be participants and observers at the same time. They're known for being pioneers that can create something from nothing. At work, this energy becomes apparent in genius thinking. When you're at level 7, you're completely passionate about all aspects of life. At home, you feel more intimately connected to everyone. At level 7, people have the ability to connect to their inner genius. Next slide. So I'm going to talk a little bit about leadership by default. So why is energy so important to leadership? Because catabolic energy over the long term reduces motivation and hinders success. So there is a deeply ingrained catabolic process that kind of occurs. It's the what's wrong attitude that we have in management and leadership, and it takes its toll on all of us. Think of a great example that I've experienced when you're doing a post-mortem talk. I mean, let's talk about that's kind of a negative term anyway, post-mortem, right? You're really looking for your lessons learned. And so how you approach that discussion when you're doing a review is a big deal. If you're going in with that post-mortem, what's wrong here perspective versus what did we learn, it can be much more uplifting for your staff if you're taking that as we're learning from this and we're moving on and we're building on that experience. So also, this leadership by default is really a stream of unconsciousness. And no wonder, the majority of people in business and organizations and governments, from the CEO to newly hired folks, can feel unsatisfied and unfulfilled. And it's not only limited to business, it affects all relationships. So next slide.
Yeah, I think that 360-degree reviews, sometimes it's hard to get that feedback. Like, as thick-skinned as you may be, like, especially if you disagree with it, but you want to be a good leader.
Yeah. No, you're right. 360 reviews can be very difficult, but I think that also gives one the opportunity, if folks are really honest in that process, then they can talk about, trying to create this as a learning, approaching it with a mastery mindset versus we did this wrong and who did this thing wrong, pointing fingers and blaming. That's negative. That's like catabolic energy, and it creates negativity in the workplace, right? That's a level 2 energy versus trying to take it from the mastery mindset, levels 5 and 6, right? So, what does it take to overcome and reverse the pressure of that negativity? And part of it is knowing your value and knowing your mission. And it takes authentic leadership with an understanding of energy and a commitment to lead consciously and intentionally and with discipline. And the discipline is your own discipline, not discipline of your team, but being disciplined about your approach and being conscious about your approach, adopting what we call a mastery mindset. Instead of just focusing on performance, there's a performance mindset, right? We're getting our job done. Okay, and that's like, check, the job is done. But a mastery mindset allows you to learn and grow from each experience. And energy plays a huge role in our motivation and our choices regarding performance. The mind, the body, and the soul are all interconnected, and they all affect our performance. So again, all of us have had the training. So what happens when we leave these leadership sessions and retreats? Any thought? You feel pumped when you're there, and then what happens? Reality, yes, absolutely. Then you go back and it's the same old stuff, right? We did really well at our retreat, and I'm there, and then, oh God, there's that person, or oh, I have to deal with this project. So what happens? It's life. That things don't go as well as you might have planned, and stress, right? So stress is inevitable, and when it happens, our tendency is to default to those catabolic energy levels, which provide us protection. So stress occurs when sort of our influencers are out of balance. So next slide, talk about that. So well, actually, can you go back, sorry, for a second. So we talked about mastery mindset. So one of the things in understanding that energetic self-perception chart, understanding those energy levels, is that you have an ability to shift your energy. And the higher up you are in your energy levels, you start to recognize that. And then you can choose to go back and forth. You know, because sometimes having that level 2 energy, you might need that to push your team a little bit. And then you can pull back, and, you know, so that you don't create a negative long-term situation. But yeah.
Yeah, like when looking at 6 and 7, I just don't think that's sustainable over time. Like I don't know anybody like in at least
7 is really
the federal workforce. It's the 6 or 7 consistent. Like when I thought 6 and 7, I was thinking more like yoga instructors and like that type of.
Yeah, I think 7 Dalai Lama. You know, yeah. No, it's true, and you can tap into it at times, right? But it's not a place that you stay at really. You know, but you get glimpses of that, right? You get glimpses of that genius, and then once you've experienced that, you know, it's like a thing that you sort of seek to get there again, right? And then with practice, you can kind of tap into that ability, and that's the idea behind the discipline with this. So mastery mindset is learning from your experiences, right? Everything that's not good or bad, we learn and we grow from that. And then the ability to shift your energy is sort of the key for you being that great leader that you want to be. Okay, next slide. So one of the things that happens aside from the stress is that there are influencers and blocks, which are both internal and external. And stress occurs when those influencers are kind of out of balance. So we'll talk briefly about these. Blocks are more internal, sort of the conversation that you have with yourself. And it involves a lot of catabolic energy. There are fears, there's assumptions, there's negative thoughts, there's interpretations. So your mind moves so fast, right? You can't keep up with all of your thoughts, right? But there's always like sometimes that negative thought, right? Keeps swirling around. And then the more negative it becomes, it kind of swirls down like a tornado, right? So, and those are things like fears, assumptions, etc. And so those are blocks to your energy. So being aware of them and challenging them. If you see those blocks, you challenge them. Sometimes I'll talk to you a little bit about that too. Reframing some of those negative thoughts, asking how true they might really be to sort of bring that fear level down. And in coaching, we talk about fear. Fear is really a creation of the mind. Fear is, we like to say, false evidence appearing real. So by challenging that thought that you have, you know, is it really real? How true is it for you? What's another way of looking at this, right? So you can move forward without having that fear, without having that limiting belief that's holding you back, or that interpretation that might not be correct. So those are blocks. Again, those are more internal. Influencers can be internal or external, and there's 6 of those. So you can go ahead. Oh, no, actually, I think I just need to describe them for you. So there are 6. So spiritual stress occurs when whatever you're doing causes you to question your values, purpose, goals, or connections or beliefs. So that's the spiritual side. Mental stress occurs when you stretch yourself too thin, or you have conflicting demands, or a task bores you, or it could be too challenging for you. And also, it can happen when you're multitasking. I know plenty of people who think they can multitask and that they do it really well. And usually they don't pay attention to everything that's going on, and something gets missed. So, mental stress, dealing with that, trying to keep the distractions to a minimum is important to manage mental stress. Emotional stress occurs when you feel as if your needs, desires, or expectations are not being met, or when you encounter a situation that you don't understand, or you don't know how to navigate it, or you don't know how to express your emotions effectively. Physical stress, just a couple more. Physical stress occurs when your body isn't able to function in an optimal manner, or the manner to which you're accustomed. Social stress occurs when social conditions and the people around you are not optimal for you. And environmental stress occurs when you encounter an environment or a condition that you believe prevents you from functioning optimally. So if you are seeing those stressors, blocks to energies, or these influencers impacting your performance, then you need to challenge them, or you need to, in the case of the influencers, practice disciplines in order to make those stressors go away for you and to put yourself back in a more balanced situation. And I'll be going over the disciplines in just a few minutes. So next slide. Oh, there we go. All right, so with the mastery mindset that we were talking about, as you're aware of your energy level and you recognize interference, you identify what's blocking your energy and you make a proper shift, right? So that you can create like your own success formula for achieving your goal and getting past this. Dr. Schneider suggests 10 disciplines to assist in a mastery mindset process. And it's part of this 7th level framework for mastery of the energy levels. So there are 10 of them. The first one is awareness. I don't think I didn't do slides for each of these because it would get kind of long. But first one is awareness. And we've talked about that, being aware of what's going on, being aware of what's affecting you. If your emotions are like it's like taking your temperature, right? If your emotions are high, something's going on. So question it. What is it that's what's out of balance? What's bothering you? And then sort of investigate that. Acceptance of what is the second discipline. And that doesn't mean that you have to accept everything that happens, but sometimes there are things that you just can't change. And because of that, and okay, can they hear me? Okay. And because of that, you can suffer if you don't realize that there's just some things that you can't change. So being able to accept things is very important. We've talked a lot about this one, making conscious choices. That is really the biggest key to moving up and down those levels. Trusting the process. And the process means that you're learning about the energy levels, you've learned about the energetic self-perception, and you're practicing those disciplines. And if you trust that process, you're going to achieve what you want to achieve, and you're going to feel greater satisfaction at work and life in trusting that process. We mentioned being authentic a little bit earlier, being fearless. So fearless doesn't mean reckless. Fearless means not allowing a fear. Remember, fear is a false event appearing real. So challenging that and asking yourself, is it really something to be feared or not? Is it really true? And then being fearless is then moving forward, right? Being bold, moving forward with the plans and the goals that you have. Being confident is also part of the disciplines. having a sense of connection, very important at work. We were talking about that table today, that, you know, the online world, we're losing our connection with folks at times. It does make it easier for us to connect to people, but that face-to-face connection isn't there. So how do you replace that so that you have that connection with your team and your family? Let's see, presence in the moment, also very big. You know, fear is also thinking about an event that's yet to come, right? And really, we don't know what the future is going to bring. And the past is the past. So what we have is now, it's present. So being present in the moment, making your best decisions, being at your best in any given moment is really important. It's a discipline to practice. And then finally, being 100% engaged. And that means, I think you can probably envision what 100% engaged is, but if you approach a situation and you're fully there and you're fully energetic towards it, you're going to succeed. You're going to meet your goals. You're going to perform at your best. So being 100% engaged is very important. Okay, so if you look at that list of disciplines, or the ones that we went through, you can also see that they correlate to attributes of great leaders. We kind of talked about that earlier today. Okay, next slide. So as leaders, we want to be our best. And as project managers, we like formulas. So here's a formula for performance. Performance equals your potential minus the interference. So dealing with the interference, right? Dealing with the blocks, those interferers are the way that you increase your potential, and that you work at your best, and that you show up as your best. So in order for us to inspire our teams and provide that productive work environment, we need to recognize those interferences and find ways to remove them, for not only for ourselves, but for our teams. Smart leaders ask their teams what's needed to be successful. They're looking for the obstacles and finding ways to remove them or bring resources if needed so that their team can perform optimally. Next slide. Mastery mindset. We mentioned that a little bit together. It is focused, or a little while ago. It's focused on conscious choice, and it's a process, and it's focused on growth. It's a continual state of learning. And it's also a state of being. And leadership is a state of being too. It's not only just an art and part of your job, but it's a state of being. And then that's when your authenticity shines, when you realize that it's a state of being. Slide. Okay, so let's see. The mastery mindset, we see continual improvement, we learn and grow, we shift our energies to work for us. We respond instead of reacting. Also, we had a discussion at my table about that earlier today too. Reacting is really more of a catabolic reaction. It's your default, right? It's management by default. It's something happens and you're associating something with it, and you just sort of unconsciously do something. That's what reacting is. Responding involves that conscious choice. It looks at the event and you choose how you're going to respond. You just don't simply react. You choose how you want to respond. And you're always recognizing that you are really always in control of how you respond. And then being intentional also goes along with consciousness, trusting the process we talked about. So 7th level mastery, that mastery mindset of the energy levels, it's also called coach-centric leadership. Again, it's sort of taking all those coaching principles and kind of pulling them into one as you as a leader. Next slide. Oh, here we go, coach-centric leader. So you embrace the mind, body, and spirit. You're always in control. You're flexible. You care about the people around you. You're always present. You are always confident regardless of the result. You're sharp, playful, fully engaged. And you know that success and greatness is a process that you just learn from. You're continually learning. and you inspire others with your attitude and your energy. So next slide. All right, so there are tools. We talked a little bit about them. The energetic self-perception chart is one tool, and you'll have that in the slide. So here are some tools that I've used with clients. Journaling can be a big help, particularly with emotions. If you're trying to work on responding versus reacting, journaling your emotions as events occur is a very helpful tool. The practice of the disciplines we talked about a bit. Mantras and intentions can be very helpful. Starting your day with an intention, starting your day off well. I was just reading a book. It was Michelle Obama's book, and she was talking about her friend's husband, who is a very successful businessman. And every morning he gets up and he looks in the mirror. He doesn't have a fancy mantra. He just goes, "Hello, buddy. We're going to have a good day," but he sets his tone that he's going to have a good day. And it's as simple as it sounds. And Michelle and her friend were laughing at him. He's been very successful with that. It doesn't matter what you do. It just matters that it works for you. So intentions in the morning, mantras are great. There's even an app if you're interested in, I think it is called I Am. And it's like $5 a year or something like that, but you can create different affirmations that can come across your phone at different times of the day to keep you in that frame of mind if you need, and you can even gear them towards business or wherever you feel like you need it, relationships, businesses, that type of thing. It's an interesting app though. Reframing negative thoughts, can't tell you how important that is. If something is happening and you're assigning it some type of a judgment that it's an issue, looking at that, analyzing it, tossing it around a little bit, is there a way to look at it from another perspective, is real important. That's what reframing does for you. There's also a tool, much like DISC, there's a tool called ELI, which stands for Energetic Level Index. It's an assessment test that you can take. It measures where you are. It looks at all the energy levels, and it tells you what your mix of energy is on a good day. And it also tells you what happens when you're under stress. It can be a very useful tool for you to sort of see where you're at. And then as you work on those disciplines later on, you can take it again and see how your level changes. There's also an app called Scope. Scope measures your energy levels in the moment. It's an app. You have to do that through a coach, but I'm putting that out there as a tool. And then we have coaches. And I think Matt is also an ELI master practitioner too. So, okay, next slide. So success formula. So you have the power to create your own style and your own success formula for leadership and for life. So IPEC teaches us, and this is me as a coach and us together, that consciousness is your awareness of who you are. I'm sorry, I'm saying that wrong. That consciousness is your awareness of who you really are, as opposed to who you believe or you were taught to be. So you always have the power and always have the choice to show up how you want to be. Next slide. Oh, I didn't go through the success formula. So define success for yourself is important for your success formula. Stay tuned to the energy levels. Practice self-awareness, practice the discipline, test out a tool or two, discover what works for you, and be curious and have fun. It should be fun. Life should be fun. You should be satisfied. So have fun with it. Moving on. All right. So our key takeaways. How are we on time? Good. Okay. Did I go over? Okay. So our key takeaway items, are to know that you're always at choice. That each experience provides an opportunity for learning. Again, that formula, performance is your potential minus interference. Mastery of core energy is a transformational process. So I would just encourage you to be intentional and that way you can step into your brilliance. So at the beginning of the presentation, we noted management and leadership as a science and an art. Mastery requires practice and discipline. So keep evolving, keep reinventing yourself, adding more skills and colors to your leadership artistry, because you'll be amazed with the results. Next slide. So this is just my little saying, but success in life can be accomplished by greater awareness. So you know that you have the power to choose and apply your energy levels available to you to serve you best for any purpose on your journey. And next is questions, I think. Next slide. So any questions? Yeah. Sure. Do you want the mic? Do you want the microphone? You might not want to. I know. Yeah.
So we were talking, we were talking about the various energy levels. And like those, like ostensibly in the world, those would be like bell, right? You have people that want to have a bunch of us somewhere in the middle, people about 7. Right? Because I mean, if someone was like at level 7, like all the time.
Okay. Okay. So the comment is that that's a yes. I should have given you the mic, but so I hope I get this right. And please correct me if so that everybody can hear. The comment was that you're looking at all those energy levels, and so they're thinking, you know, there's sort of a bell curve to it, right? And you use the term that 7 is a sociopath. I would say 7's more like the Dalai Lama, or okay. So I'll put it on that spectrum. But but maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. So yeah, so that's a great observation, actually, because we know from the ELI assessments that folks generally tend to so it's based on the 7 levels of energy, right? And so the scores of it tend to be between 2.5 to 5.5. So a bell, right? On when you're thinking of it with the 7 levels of energy. That generally when you're sitting there at a good day, you're somewhere really probably more like 3 to 5. Okay, and that's probably where most managers fall too. You're having a great day, you might be a 5 because things are going great and you're feeling a sense of peace. But 3, as we learned, many managers sit there, and that's you remove the negativity to get forward to get to the goal that you want to reach. So yeah, I mean, that's a great observation about the bell curve. Did you want to add anything to it?
Never know.
No. Okay. Okay. Any questions from our online folks? Oh, there's a question back here while you're looking up that. Yes. What's my energy level? Well, my energy level fluctuates. So there you go. So I have days that are amazing. I will tell you, when I'm coaching clients, I walk out and I feel such joy. So that's like a 6. Especially after I've had sessions, I feel great. And I feel happy for, my clients when they're making progress and connecting the dots and that type of thing. But I'm real. I just had a fire in my apartment and was relocated for a while. I was just telling a few folks, and that can really bring you down. I'm trying not, as a coach, I'm trying not to let that happen because my husband's pretty upset with it. So I'm trying to be the one who's, keeping things rolling and keeping it real. And it's really more of a temporary disruption for us instead of this, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing ever. It's just something that we have to deal with and get through it. So yeah, but I access my different energy levels. I can tell you, I don't really sit at a 7, maybe in prayer, in meditation, maybe at times, but yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a mixed bag, and we all are, actually. It just depends on what situation is happening. Mm-hmm. Any other questions? And was there anybody there?
No, just
okay.
comments following the presentation.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, I really, I really appreciate this. If you have any further questions afterwards, or you have interest in doing a deeper dive into energy and leadership, you have my contact information. The cards are here and they're up on the slide. And I thank you for your time. It's really been a pleasure. And again, you know, my favorite people. So it's nice to be back at PMI.
And as stated in our promotional materials for the event, Ms. Rodden generously donated 3 books written by Dr. Schneider on energy leadership. I've read the book. It takes you through more of a fictional but life-based coaching of a company where the company has a toxic work culture. Employees aren't happy. The C-suite has a bunch of infighting, and the organization's just really in a bad place. And through energy leadership and just coaching and open-ended questions, which is what coaching is, the company repairs itself. So a great read. And
Fascinating. It's a fascinating story.
so everybody should have raffle tickets. A couple of people had to leave early, so if they left their raffle ticket on the table, feel free to take it. And Mr. Rodden, if you want to draw numbers.
I need my glasses to read this. Okay, I just need to do the last 3 numbers, right? 608.
608. Okay. And Mr. Godby was our speaker last month, so if he looks familiar, that's because he was up here.
633.
633. Hey, the lucky table.
Okay.
And our
620.
620. Great.
Great.
Okay. Earlier this spring, we opened up our scholarship program. We increased the amount from 2 $1,000 scholarships to 2 $1,500 scholarships. We received a nice thank you card from one of the young men who won the scholarship. So, dear PMI chapter of Montgomery County, Maryland, thank you for selecting me to receive the scholarship. I'm headed to University of Maryland this fall. I couldn't be happier. I'm very grateful for the support. Much love, Jack B. Wazowski. So without your $20 a year chapter dues, we wouldn't be in a position to have surplus funds to provide the scholarship. So thank you. Yeah. And now closing remarks from our chapter president, Mr. Charlie Geis.
I will be brief, but I have a few things here is to mention. The next meeting is going to be here at September 6th. So we have 2 months that we do this every year. It's just everybody wants to be out at the beach, so this is your chance to get there. Thanks for everybody for coming. Thank you for being members. Please drive carefully going home. Okay.